Welcome back to Paru's Custom Corner. We're still looking at Touhou Project, and now we're looking at green. To start us off, we have Yokai Mountain Goddess, Suwako Moria. During your turn, if you have two or more other fantasy characters, she gets 2,000 power. And then she is a JC. She is when this card is front attack, or when your other character is front attacked, you may pay one, sack this card to return that card. Return that character to your hand. How do you feel about
These are good.
JCs? Yeah, good
It's
card.
good. It being on a level 1 is not even bad because this
Yeah.
attacks for a good amount of power. This is very, very close to the Yatsu bounce from Quint's set 1. But for whatever reason, Yotsuba is 45, but this is only 4K.
Is it the
Um,
same effect?
I believe it is the same. The thing that can get you tripped up is on whether you want your bounce effect to be trait restricted. If you
Mm.
want it to be universal, bounce anything that's front attacked, like Persona's Naoto, then that costs 1,000 power.
Ah, I
But
see.
if you want the card to be a little bit bigger, like the Yotsuba is, then you can trait bind the bounce target, so that the effect only costs 500. So I think this is under
Under spec. Should
under
be
spec. That
4,500
said,
base.
is that enough for this card to be significantly worse? It does attack 500 less, which is important. So you want this to live cross turn.
I think I would play this card even if it was 500 power under
Yeah.
spec. I think this is like a good profile.
Yes, it is still good. It does uh no. If this set for some reason had stock souls as like the green level 1 combo, then I think that 500 power loss might actually like really, really, really matter.
Yeah, agreed.
But we're not with stock souls here, so I think we'll be okay.
I'm
What
noticing
rating do
that
you give this?
the level ones, like the level one auxiliary level ones. Sorry, I don't know why it took me so many words to say that. The non-climax combo level ones are really good so far.
Agreed.
You've got the Minami, you got the big stock charger, and now you got a big JC.
And I think that creates the most room for fun deck creation,
Yeah,
because you're less locked in on what the auxiliary level ones you play, so you get a lot more room to experiment and even change what your auxiliary, woof, change what your secondary level ones are based on the meta. So that's cool.
Flavor wise, she's like a defensive option for like one of the human characters. She's like one of the two gods that inhabit that human character's shrine. She's like the more defensive oriented one. So I think like
Okay,
bouncing a character back is fine.
sure.
I think it makes sense for the character to do that.
Okay.
You get a cool
Next
one.
is a Utsuho Ryuji, Fantastic Nuclear Fusion. It's a level 3. On play, gain 3,000 power until the end of the turn. So it's a 12/5 the turn she comes in. She heals to stock if you discard a card. And she has a climax combo with a bar. On reverse of the battle opponent, if you have the bar out, and you can pay 3 stock and discard 1 card. If you do, deal 2 damage and clock kick the battle opponent. So she'll be 13/5, which is huge.
Yeah, it's like the
On its own without any help.
just checking something real quick. I think Levi is that same power, right? No, Levi is smaller. Levi is only he's only 12/5 at the climax.
Yeah, this is like AOT set to Mikasa in terms of power if you assign the split 2K one. This card is very big, which is great. Um, I think that was as far as like design goes, to make this card good, I think it was smart to improve the on play power gain to 3,000 instead of the more typical 15. to try to make this card good. Because I'm just gonna guess that we all have our favorites. So I'm gonna just guess that the designer likes this character or wants to make sure this character was playable. So that was
She's a very popular character, so I could see it.
great. Have you played with this? This kind of clock kick effect has been on a couple cards before. Have you ever played against or with this kind of thing?
I have played.
Clock kick and burn.
I have played with this in Little Busters. In Little Busters, you had to do all the payment up front. I have also played with this in SAO 10 when the first SAO 10 set came out, and that one was all right. It only burned one. And then most recently, we have Levi from Attack on Titan who has this effect, and it's really good at killing people, but there is a very fatal flaw when it comes to this climax combo, and that is once someone loses to it once, they will just start crashing in all their lanes right before you hit level 3.
True.
And it's very hard. What's up?
Yes, that was a problem in Final Season LT because they the new gear isn't as good for avoiding reverses as old Mikasa decks were with the old gear.
Mm-hmm.
That said, this deck has the Yotza bounce that we just previewed.
You have JC. Pretty good.
Yeah. So possibly, these first two cards could be a package that the JC might enable the clock kick, maybe.
Yeah.
That could help.
Yeah, being able to stop your opponent from trying to deny this. Because you only need like 2 lanes of this card to go off.
Yeah.
To like really stick it to your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
And you do have the Musashi, like that you could play in any lane that isn't. And even the Yugi early play is like kind of a finisher. Because it stacks a character on top of your opponent's deck. So you have at least 1 clean damage on the next attack. So I think the set has like the tools to play this, and then you have the level 2 assist, right? The drop salvage one that gives you everyone 1,000 power. So this thing is probably swinging at 14.5 before any other. Oh, and your brainstorm, right? So once you get one reverse, the next one's 15k. So power is probably not an issue for this card. It's cool that it heals to stock, and it actually ends up costing the same as Levi. Because he is Levi is pay 2 ditch 2, but this one heals. So to stock for a hand. So it ends up being pay 2 ditch 2 also. Levi cantripped while being on a bar, which was kind of counterintuitive. Because you'd be getting the bar to your because you always trigger bars every game anyways.
Redundant card effect.
Exactly. So this being a heal, I think is pretty good for it. I actually think this card is pretty good. I give this card an A. And I really like the character, so it gets a little bit of bias points for me, I think. Sure.
I agree the card's good. This is one of the other gods you were saying?
No, this is she works in Old Hell. There's 2 hells. There's the old one, which was like a burning pit of fire and death. And then there's like a new one, which I don't know anything about it really. But she runs the center of hell. She keeps the fires burning. She can also shoot suns at you. So she does a lot of damage. Big attacks. Okay. Big blasts. Okay. So yeah, sure. This character is always good. On every, I think there's like 3 people who have made like Touhou custom sets. And this character always ends up being some like explosive finisher effect. So like everyone's kind of on the same page that that's how this character should function. Then balance.
As far as balance goes, I'll lay it out what I think is going on.
Sure.
So come into play 3,000 is worth minus 1,000 to get. Come into play 15, we're all very familiar with, that costs 500 budget. So this first effect costs 1,000 budget. Then the heal to stock is the same as normal heals. That's also 1,000 budget. So if you know level 3 math budgeting, you already have a raised eyebrow, because level 3s with nothing else going on, nothing else weird going on, are 11.5 budget. So we've lost 2,000 so far. And then we add on this climax combo, which I think is basically analogous to these other climax emblems we've seen. So that would be this climax emblem minus 500. So if this were Bushy math budgeted, this should be 9K printed. So this I think is over spec.
So I would like to present evidence against that.
Okay.
Little Busters. Wait, hang on. Actually, if I'm lying, I'd feel really bad. The Little Busters
Well, depends
Fumio.
on
Do you
how
know the
long you've
power on
played
it
Busters.
off the top of your head?
No.
Okay,
Let's see.
so I need to know what the power. It's in Da Capo versus Little Busters. It's a promo.
And it's green, I assume.
It's blue actually.
What?
Yeah. So let's see.
What's the character?
It is a Saya level 3.
Is she have a swimsuit on? No.
No. Oh crap! It's not in Da Capo versus Little Busters. I'm gonna find it. I promise. Oh, that's because this is just Da Capo parts. That would make sense. But I think the Little Busters one is a 1K with Fumio on it, like the good Fumio, like the choose two.
You're
Scrolling,
letting the
scrolling.
viewers in on your hunt, I hope.
Yes. Okay,
Great.
I found her. Okay, so Little Busters Fumio Saya is 10,000 power. She has this first effect to gain 3,000 power until the end of the turn, and is a Fumio. Aqua from Konosuba has the Fumio effect, and has no backups, and has a climax combo on it. So
you're leading me down a train of reasoning. Okay, lay it
so
out.
hear me out. We know from Saya that either the Fumio effect or the gain 3,000. One of them is 500. One of them is 1,000. Right.
Yeah.
The Aqua has two effects.
Go ahead.
The Aqua has two effects. One of them is two effects apart from the Fumio. Three effects total, which means that they're all costed at 500. Oh no, am I disproving myself? So Fumio is worth 500. Oh yeah, I just proved myself wrong. Yeah, this card should be 9,000.
Yeah, roll with 500.
Yeah, Fumio's worth 500 power then. If this is worth 1,000.
That strikes me as something that should be worth 1,000, but there are several different kinds of Fumios, so it's hard to.
Well, we're talking about choose two climax. Pay one, choose two climaxes, leave them out Fumio. But I think this card would be good even as a 9,000.
Yeah, I agree. But I think this is still worth building around and thinking like as a foundation. Maybe there's the first card you put in the deck, and then you think about how do I get to this endpoint. I think this is would still be worth thinking about, even if it was 500 smaller.
I'm so sorry for going on that tangent just to realize I was wrong. By the way,
no, that's the good stuff, Paru. That's what we want to see.
Okay. We got
Next
Spirit Swordswoman. Yeah, she's Yomu Kompaku. On play, you may pay 2. No, sorry, on death, you may pay 2. Choose a fantasy character in waiting room, return it to your hand. And then she is a level 0 clock bomb.
I'm a fan. It's a very understated effect. It's not like this is the kind of card I'd be happy to see as an option for color fixing or something. I'm trying to not because this character design like is hitting my strike zone in terms of like cute. So
Yeah.
kind of not let that bias affect me. What do you think about how good this card is?
I don't think the set has Ricky. So like I don't think that you have a whole lot to pay for to pay stock on early.
Yeah.
So this
So
might be
like if
fine.
you attack twice, if you were to attack twice on a level 0 turn, you wouldn't be punished for spending that 2 stock on this card, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
In part.
exactly.
And it has a function in giving you,
Five
disrupt your hand
five
early.
hundred
So you're not
power
really.
removal bombs are also just like good. The
Yeah,
effect.
that leads into the balancing though, because I think this is sadly under spec.
Really? Should
Yeah,
this be 1,000? Is
yeah, I
that
believe
first
so.
effect only worth 500?
Because it is trait restricted on the
Oh,
salvage, it is only worth 500. So,
all right. So remove the
uh,
trait restriction from the first effect
yes.
to fix the card.
Even then, I think that actually still doesn't work because let me see what I had notes written about this.
Oh, you took notes first? That's really impressive. I wish I should be doing stuff like that.
Um, so there is an Azure Lane bottom deck bomb
Mm-hmm.
that is this text and this power line,
Uh-huh.
but for those
Oh,
familiar with bottom deck bombs, bottom deck is considered by Wish Road to a better effect than clock bomb. So I think the Azure Lane bomb was the basis for this design,
mm-hmm.
um, and that's why this power line is off.
Ah, so this should be 1,000. Does the Azure Lane one choose trait, or does it choose
Uh,
anything?
that's what I have written. Man, I could go fetch it,
Oh,
but
I'm
yes, it
assuming it
is.
says warship on it. But it sounds to me like you could fix this just by making this grab anything.
Yeah, that's what I thought when you said it. I was like, you know what, Power, that's an excellent idea. Here's the Azure Lane card.
Oh, there she is. Oh, it's this character.
Um, but
She grabs
uh,
warship.
if you don't have a trait restriction, unfortunately, Bushiroad punishes you hard for that. It costs 1,500 power to have a
Oh
universal
no.
on death pay 2 salvage. So things just don't line up at all, do they? Because Clock Bomb level 0 costs 1,500.
All right, so take away the trait and make it not side attack.
Yeah, that's also the universal. If your power lines don't line up, just slap on can't side and it's fine. uh, I don't know how to best to save this card. Unfortunately, if you want to stick it to 500, you might just need to give up and say, okay, it's 1,000. And then only being 1,000 means, unfortunately, you might not be able to disrupt everything that you want to disrupt with an effect like this.
Okay, wait.
Strength-wise, I think this is a reasonable card to me.
All right, I know how you fix it. You make it grab. You make it grab trait, so it goes up to 1,000. No, you make it grab anything, so it goes down to negative or 0, right? It goes down to 0.
Goes on to 0, yeah.
You make that second effect say if you have another character, like the Lee Ren
Ah,
from Ruby.
yes, like exactly, like the Ruby, that's it.
There you go. Notably,
That's
this
right,
card
that's the classic.
this card is a
Just
clock
add on a
condition for one of the better early plays, or I think the
Oh,
only other early play. So you
I had
are
forgotten
rewarded for
that.
playing multiple copies of this card.
Cool, great.
Flavor. Um, when I made Touhou, I made her a clean cut because I'm like, yeah, sword, clean cut.
That makes sense to me.
Bomb is probably fine. She's like a ghost. She cuts you. I don't know.
Okay. It seems reasonable to me.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
gonna
yeah. I'm not gonna. I'm
Okay,
not all
so
that sold on it.
here we have another cat.
She do be a
A
cat.
cat ghost.
Kind of. She brings the dead bodies to Utsuho, who then throws them into the fire. Yeah.
Kaimbyo Rin, Hell's Cleanup Cat. Who else was a Hell's Cleanup character?
Was
You
there
you
such a
just said
character?
so? Hell's Cleanup. I feel like I recognize this. It's fine. So this is a level 0 1,500 power. When one of your other characters attacks, it gets 1,000 power until end of turn. Okay. So it might attack as a 35 if it attacks last. And when this card's battle opponent becomes reversed, choose one of your other characters, move to the open position in your backstage. So it's a clean cut.
It is a clean cut. Aren't these
Yeah.
clean cuts usually 2,000 power base? Oh no,
Right.
because she clean cuts any character. So yeah, it would only
So
be 15. I think.
that is the balance. The stupid. But it's a pain in the ass when you're designing cards to decide whether to make your effects trait bound just so that your power lines work up. But yeah, if you want to clean cut any trait, like Suzumiya Haruhi's clean cut, or I think there's a Persona clean cut like that. That costs 1,000 power. And then if you want to get buffed when one of your other characters attacks, that costs 500. So it looks like this might line up, but the first effect is missing the more what am I trying to say? Usually when this effect is printed, or maybe just always when this effect is printed, it checks whether a traded character attacks.
Oh no.
So the easy fix would just be to add on that. But I don't think that really affects our evaluation of the card. It just means that this is not budgeted correctly.
Right.
It's not templated. More accurately, it's not templated correctly because this, whatever. Is this a good clean cut? 35?
So this exact profile exists in Zombieland as a 4K, and that card's pretty good.
Why is it a 4K? Oh, right.
Because
it's not trait bound.
Yeah, everything is.
Or it is trait bound.
Yeah, everything requires you to use Saga characters. It's a plussing 0, and we haven't really seen those yet. I don't think, right?
Yeah, you're right.
So maybe you're forced to play this. Unfortunately, your best back row, I think, was that level 1 Yukari. You're not going to be back rowing that. You're not going to be clean cutting that. We haven't even seen. No, we have seen the brainstorm. It was the Alice brainstorm.
Yeah, we saw the snowball.
That card was all right.
Brainstorm.
Oh yeah, so that card can actually buff this card if you get a reverse in another lane first.
Yeah, that's true. And it just makes sense. These two lines of text just make sense together. It's good design to make your clean cut get bigger by attacking after the thing you want to save. So that's cool. I'll follow your B minus.
She picks up the dead bodies, so I think that's pretty good for a clean cut. Wow. Actually,
that is clever. Actually,
yeah,
I'll give that a plus.
Yeah, missed opportunity. Her actual title in game is Hell's Traffic Accident. That should have been the card name instead of Cleanup Cat.
All right. We get another cat ghost, I think.
Yeah. Is this me or you? I don't remember.
I read the clean cut, I think.
Oh, okay. This is sales pitch Mike Gotokuji. When this card is placed on the stage from your hand, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a fantasy character, put it in hand and then discard a card. And she also has on play, discard a fantasy character, draw 1. What do you think of Mike?
Mike's pretty good. I think what do I think about this profile? Yeah, it's good, right?
Yeah. So what Goblin Slayer played this, Dal played this, Seven Deadly Sins plays this. Most what is it? Idolmaster Cinderella Girls play this. Most sets that have access to this profile, I think, play it. 2 instances of hand fix on a single card is just pretty good.
Yep.
Especially
this is the classic nowadays stapling 2 effects together on the same card back before Bushiroad did that all the time. And it was good, and it was good then, it's still good now. It is balanced.
She's like a lucky cat, right? So you're digging for the right thing. Could be maybe. I don't know. Every time I watch other people play these cards, they're like, "Oh yeah, I can't believe I drew my climax and
actually, I will give it to you.
Top decked my level 1 combo." Yeah, I'll give it to him. Mike deserves the plus.
Next is a level 1 combo. The first one for green. No, the second one for green. This one's also on a bar. If you have 2 or more other, I'm going to assume, fantasy characters, this card gets plus 1,000 power. And climax combo on attack.
Sorry, did you say this card gets 1,000 power? This card actually gets 1,000 power.
I see.
Mistake. It's
Yeah.
easy mistake to make.
My bad. If you have Rainy Day at Moria Shrine in your climax area, and you have a full field, 4 more other fantasy characters, you may salvage a character, and then you can pay the cost. You may pay 1 stock. If you do, Twin Drive. During the attack, perform trigger check 2 times on the same trigger step. So before we talk about, I do want to talk about this card's on both a power level perspective and a balancing perspective, because I think both are interesting.
Mhm.
But like this blonde girl is not the same character, right?
No,
On the climax art.
no, that's
what's going on
Suwako.
here?
That's the character from the JC. That's like one of the gods that she serves.
Okay. Well, I don't know. If you want a card to be rated well for me, again, this is about how would I rate a card. Whenever I consider putting a climax in my cube, for example, which
Mhm.
all of you should care a lot about whether you design cards that are good enough to get into my cube. You all should be thinking about that. I use inserts because I'm insane. So the insert would cover up the actually relevant character here. And so you'd only be left with the blonde. So that is a flavor fail for me.
That is a very specific flavor fail, but I can
Okay.
see what you're saying. With a card
Now we can get
insert, right?
into-
A card insert,
Yes.
translation insert would make this would make it difficult to tell that the climax matches up with the character.
Yeah.
That is the
Yep.
first time, and probably the last. Actually, I'm going to be thinking about that from now on. Whenever I do these, I'm going to be thinking about whether or not the translation slip would get in the way. But that is the first time that has been
Very
brought to my attention.
important. Very important for all of you to be thinking about. Now we can think about the less important thing about how good is this card. There are some similar cards like this. Have you played with any of them?
It's really similar to the Shion from Slime.
Yes, which also has a full field condition.
Yes.
There's also the new 10th anniversary anime Asuna for Sword Art Online. That text is on attack, full field salvage, just like the Shion. Trait restricted salvage, just like the Shion. And you can either salvage or you can stock, which is really cool. And if you stock, gain 2k. So what am I trying to say here? There is, I guess, precedent. When I first read this card, I had to look it up to see why isn't this just vastly OP, because it just seems like total upside on top of the Shion, right? Because the Shion, this seems like it's strictly better than the Shion. But man, I definitely lost my train of thought. Oh, that's it. But the Shion salvages anything. That's right. That's what my notes say. Shion is universal on attack salvage, and the Asuna
is trait restricted.
Having a trait restriction on the target, Bushiroad can cheat in, a little extra juice.
Oh, I see. I got you. Bushiroad knows about the secret sauce too.
Yes. So I don't know if you want to talk about the strength of the card first or the Bushiroad balancing stuff first.
Well, before we look at the strength, do you think this fits within Bushiroad's constraints?
Yeah, well, I guess just no.
No.
If you wanted to, you would have to trait bind the salvage target on this card, so it's more like the Asuna.
It is trait restricted, isn't it? Oh no, it's not. It just says if you have 4 or more, choose a character.
Yes.
This should choose a fantasy character.
Yes. And then I think this might be like the Asuna and be fine. Like, cool, great. I don't think that impacts the power level at all, because even in standard, if you already have a full field of fantasy, I don't know, man. Well, how about how good is this card, Paru?
Um,
No reverse necessary. You just need a full field.
so knowing about okay, so getting like a raw selective plus is cool.
Yeah.
Knowing that the set has another good bar combo in the Utsuho and has a bar filter, and this
Mm,
card can dig for bar triggers, like it gets more pluses. I think this card, knowing the rest of the set, is really good.
I think it's really good. Yes, I agree. This seems full field is scary as a condition.
Hmm.
Particularly scary in a set that doesn't have something like Ricky, as you noted. Uh,
Yeah,
so you're going to be leaning so far. I don't. I have no memory of what the rest of the set looks like, but you're going to be leaning really hard on the what's her name, Yomu Konpaku,
oh yeah, the
that
Yomu
clock
that
bomb.
salvages for two
You're going to
stock.
be leaning really hard on that, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, which is unfortunate because that kind of doubles up on your search zones because the Yomu also salvages and then this then salvages. And I know a lot of people in design like sort of diversified zone grabbing.
Yeah,
Uh, so this card on its own and with some of the things you talked about is good, but it is actually possible that the full field condition is really annoying and sort of warps your level 0 and level 1 lineups to accommodate it.
yeah. I've played 8 choice slime and I've missed the condition
And
countless
that's a set with
times
Ricky, right?
with Ricky, with like a good runner, all that stuff. And it's still Ramorous even. Like you could still, it can go wrong. The full field condition is really rough, but
Oh, something else
you'll probably get it. It's fine.
on a design wise, I
Hmm.
think Twin Drive is really weird with bars. Just I have not played with Twin Drive with bars. I'm just thinking here, but like part of the satisfaction of Twin Drive is paying out climaxes that you've triggered. And here, if you're playing 8 bar or something, you're not Twin Driving to pay out climaxes anymore. And in fact, you're just more likely to be putting even more climaxes into your hand. So
Well,
your
they get
deck states.
filtered, right?
Oh, okay, great. Okay, that is true. But that helps considerably, the filter that we'll get coming up. But without that filter that
Oh yeah.
uses it
If this
against
didn't
both
have a
bars.
bar filter, I think this would be like a C. I'm rating this knowing that we have a bar filter later on.
Okay. Going on.
Cool. Conscious manipulator, Koishi Komeiji, voted the most popular character in the series.
Really, this
Yeah.
art is sick. Does she really look like this? How
I
like
mean, it's a little
does
stylized to
she
look like
does
kind of
she give this
creepy.
vibe? Because
Yeah, she's
I really
fucking
like the
weird.
creepiness.
She's she cannot be perceived by adults. I think is part of her thing.
All right, I look forward
So
to the
she
hex
she
proof
like
on this
she
card when
like
you read it,
messes
Paro.
with around with like kids and then just like pieces out forever. Uh, she sealed her heart away because she had the power to read people's minds and decided she was sick of it. So she doesn't have like running thoughts or like only have I guess how do you explain it? The character is unconscious but like
Mm.
is sentient.
Okay,
I don't know.
I think I understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah. So all of your other fantasy characters in front get plus X power, and when you use an act, get up to 2 cards on the top of your deck. Choose one from among them, put it on top, put the rest into your waiting room. It's like the Aki um
Yes.
from Hololive, the $50 SSP.
That's a shame. Not a lot of Aki Rose fans.
The card. Well, the card sucks.
The card is really cool in Hololive. I really like Nendo. Nendo, European wise player, has a cool
Mm,
video on a Hololive build that tries to make the 1/1 Aki Rose good. Um, but it's not a good. It's more cool than good, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Um, That said, if we read this text very carefully, we might notice something. I'll read it. I'll read it one time.
Okay.
Second text. Once per turn, when you use an act, look it up to 2 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 1 card from among them, and put it on top of your deck, and put the rest into your waiting room.
Okay.
So Aki Rose, what am I trying to say? This card does not require you to choose one of the 2, Paru. You can mill both.
Oh. Well, that's
Which is
significantly
like
better.
that's obviously a mistake. But is that good enough? Is that enough to make this card good?
No, because we haven't seen
No.
anything that I want to counter so far.
But your backups would be double Leafa counter.
Wow.
You can mill 2 cards.
Oh, maybe. I'm thinking about it now, right? The Sanai is 55, 6k with this thing. Backup puts her to 8k, and then you have double leaf counter. Maybe. I don't think 8k is enough. I think if you had like Milky Holmes power levels, this would actually be kind of sick.
Yeah. The other thing that Nendo's video helped me understand about this kind of effect is you really want, if you imagine what your back row setup would be, part of the problem with Aki Rose is you're committing one of your back row slots to this.
Uh-huh.
And so you imagine what your other back row slot would be. It might be a brainstorm.
Mm-hmm.
It is not possible to like. Where's your other start? If you wanted to like set up a 6-card brainstorm with this, look at top 2, mill the both clean to dig toward your climaxes on your brainstorm. You need some start from somewhere else other than the brainstorm itself, because you can't. Weiss sequencing doesn't work like.
You're right.
So I don't know. We'll see whether there's some cool startups to make this card good main phase during your turn.
That don't require you to rest
Yeah.
a character specifically.
Right. Or you're looking for eggs, like pay 1 sack this or whatever, in order
Eggs.
to set up your top deck. But we'll see. But I think I agree with you that the text as is actually makes me interested enough to give this C question mark.
C question mark. I like it.
I don't know. It makes me speculate about what to do with it. But yeah, as for the other stuff, it is not balanced.
So is Aki the
So
same power as this?
Yeah, it's the same power.
Okay, yeah. I wish this. I mean, this is like a cool character with like interesting mechanics, and it was not adapted very well into Weiss.
I see.
Yeah. Specifically, like she's not like a supporter character in like any way, so that makes me sad.
Oh well.
This is
we
her
get
sister.
into the pair with her, right?
Yeah, this
cool.
is the sister.
Mind Reader Satori.
No last name on this
stage
one.
from hand.
Oh.
Say again?
Every other character so far has had their last name on the card. She has the same last name as the character we just looked at, and they didn't print that here.
I'm thinking about how much to read into that. Well, I'll think about it. On play, look at top 2. Put them on top of the deck in any order. Okay. And then also on play, your opponent does the stupid guessing game that should be deleted from Weiss. They declare 0, 1, 2, or 3, and then you mill one of those top cards. You mill the top card, and if it's the number that the opponent guessed, if the level of the card matches the number that the opponent declared, then you draw X plus 1, where X is declared level. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this kind of a card as something that exists in Weiss.
This should have involved you guessing the top card of your opponent's deck.
Yeah, that'd be more flavor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I wonder. I imagine Busho's probably printed things like that. But you're saying that would be more like mind reading.
Like you could even keep the first effect the same.
Yeah.
And then just switch the second one to call the top.
What if the mind reading Paru is you read the mind of the opponent to know what number they're going to guess, and that's what you put on top?
Ooh, interesting. That's true. No, I like mine better.
Okay. But this is balanced. I think this is identical to some other
Yeah.
things that are like this.
I hate these cards too, by the way. Like I
Good to
get that
hear.
I get that it's only 500 power, and like it most of the time it's only a +1. It's only an on play +1. I still fucking hate these things.
Yeah, I don't like. It's very swingy, and I don't like to play this. There's enough going on in Weiss for me to think about, and I don't want to play rock paper scissors. I don't want to play these guessing games. It's just not interesting to me.
I
And the
agree with you.
reward of mastery of learning the level distribution of the opponent's decks, it just doesn't seem rewarding to me. Not really a fan.
Rewarded for
Okay.
playing multiple repeated decks against the same person.
Yeah, it's true. Until you play against Don Machi and they only have one level 2 back row guild person in their deck, and so you name 2 because you're trying to be smart, and then they mill that card and they draw 3 cards. That's pretty cool. Definitely didn't happen to me. Still not salty
Oh
about it.
god, dude, I can't imagine. I'm sorry. We got
Next.
Nudo Warrior, Ichiran Kumoi. All of your characters get plus 500 power, and then she also has Rest to give a character on reverse blind stock top card of your deck.
I like these.
Yeah, I liked playing the one in Attack on Titan.
Yeah, I think that it's a fun decision actually. I think managing your back row and your rests makes these card profiles interesting to play with. Like to evaluate, do I want to brainstorm this turn or do I want to stock charge this turn? I think that's a fun decision to make. So I think this makes for interesting games of Weiss when this kind of effect is in your deck. I don't think that this is balanced correctly. I think it's 500 power too small.
Isn't Archer? Sorry, isn't he the same power line with the same effect?
So Arthur Browse is frontal 500.
Ooh, this is global.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you're saying this is
So
500 over?
This is 500 too small.
500
because assist 500 costs 1500 power, and global 500 to trait costs 500 power.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're right.
Am I getting these numbers right?
Yep.
But anyway, it's too small.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I could see someone looking at Arthur being like, and then trying to like immediately just translate that to being global, and thinking,
I don't know.
power
The
is
numbers I
probably
just said out loud, I think there's something wrong. It's either whatever. This is too small. I don't know how much smaller, but it is too small. But it's cool. I'll give it a C. And
there's nothing here really.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Next, Nimble Finder Nazreen. Sure. That doesn't seem like a very typical. I don't know the word for this, but translating Japanese names to English letters. This seems very unusual to me. So, Nazreen, I don't know. You have any? You picking up what I'm putting down here? This seems like a weird name.
I think she's intended to not be Japanese.
Okay. Well,
yeah,
that makes sense.
no, there's nothing here. Her name is Nazrin. The Nezu is, or not Nezu, but Nezu is like mouse in Japanese, and she hangs out with a bunch of Buddhists. I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Yeah, Reen means dignified.
There you go,
so
dignified mouse.
Dignified mouse.
Yeah, her like in-game title is what is it? The Little Dowser General, which is a much cooler name than Nimble Finder.
Okay, well, let's see what she finds. On play, pay 1, ditch 1, search your deck for a fantasy character. And then at the beginning of the opponent's draw phase, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's level 1 or higher, you may return it to hand. So it's a coin flip, drop search, which is a very cool combination.
I think this is a sick card.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a drop search that pluses. You can play it turn 1, not feel terrible. Get it back, drop search. Get it back again, drop search.
Yeah.
well, sorry. Every time I play it, this card is a 1500 power drop search. Yeah, every time this card is played against me, this is the best +0 in the game.
Yes. Yeah, I'm glad we added that caveat there that mileage will vary depending on whether it's you or your opponent that's playing with this card.
She finds treasure. I get it.
Yeah, sure.
Balance looks good to me.
Yep, I agree.
All
Next, we have
right.
a Scatterbrain.
Yeah, we got Scatterbrain, Wriggle Nightbug. During your turn, she gets 1500 power. At the beginning of your opponent's attack phase, mandatory mill the top card of your deck. If it's a 0, you put it on the right position of your center stage. If it's 1 or higher, move it to the left position of your center stage.
Okay, whatever, dude.
It is a Hololive card that never saw play.
I get annoyed just reading that text. I don't want to.
I think I played against Carmen playing this card for a while, and then he
Yeah.
learned that it was a mandatory mill and lost a single climax to it once, and I never saw a single person sleep it again.
There's a couple annoyances to me about this. One is I think this card is bad, right? It's just not good.
Fucking terrible.
It's terrible. Secondly, I get irritated as the opponent because I have to actually ask and look at the card to remember and confirm which lanes it's allowed to go to, depending on what it mills. So I don't need that extra overhead for me to confirm that you are playing the card correctly the way that it's written. Because I don't know. Do you have it memorized which way it runs depending on which level?
No,
it
I
runs?
would have to ask every time.
Right.
Possibly
Maybe,
multiple times a turn.
you know how in Japanese characters like run from right to left in anime opening sequences because the Japanese like, you know what I'm,
Yeah.
we think of things progression. We visualize progression in the Western world as left to right.
Right.
Whereas in Japan, and I assume more of East Asia, it's more right to left. Maybe if I were Japanese, this card would just, oh my god, it makes total sense, dude. But to me, no, I don't understand this card. I cannot remember.
Well, now that you've
anything.
explained it like that, I'm only ever going to be able to think of it like that.
Okay. Lastly, this card is a total nombo with the previous card, isn't it? Because if you play a drop search and your coin flip shows the opponent what your top card is, they now have perfect information.
Oh my god, you're right. And the last card's good. You want to play that, so yeah, you can never play this card in your deck.
So, yeah, this is pretty awful.
Yeah, just get rid of the rating box altogether.
Yeah,
honestly,
you know what? You're right.
You don't need it. Strength, there's none. Flavor, there's none.
I do think this is a little bit flavorful because she's scatterbrained, and you know who knows where she's gonna run.
True. She doesn't even know where she's going. I'll give you that.
Great. You know what? I have flavor contributions to make, Paru.
Thank you.
That is why you brought me on the cast.
Of course. Next card. This is all you.
This looks like a tanuki.
Yes.
I know what that is. Mamizo Futatsuiwa. Sure. Can't side attack and climax swap. Pay 1 digit climax, salvage a climax on play. Seems good.
It's Luna.
Yeah, I like that rating.
It's a good climax swapper. Sometimes it lives at 0. Flavor. Yeah. She can turn things into things, which might actually be the first flavorful climax swapper I've ever seen in Weiss.
She has a transmutation or something?
Right, yeah.
Or what?
Yes, exactly. She can disguise one thing as another thing.
Wow. And in a bar deck, you're transforming a gold bar into a different climax.
Wow.
This is actually...
excellent flavor. Excellent
balance.
Actually
excellent flavor. Yeah.
I'd like to think that was... I like to think all flavor is intentional.
For this one, I think, yeah, great job. Good design.
We got Mansion Guard, Hong Mei Ling.
Yeah.
When she's placed on stage from hand, put the top 2 cards of your deck into waiting room. If there is a climax among those cards, rest this card. When your opponent's climax is placed in the climax area, you may put this card into stock. Another 35 with mandatory mill 2. And this one's worse.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
I think it's worse. I don't care that you get the free stock. You still mega card out of hand.
I see. I don't
What?
find this card as offensive. In general, I don't find the mill 2 as offensive as you do, but it's okay. But I think that so far as mill 2s go, the fact that you get your stock refund from like the back row on your going into your opponent's tri lane to compensate for the fact that you didn't get an attack with it, I think makes this better than it'd otherwise be. So
At that point, I would rather
she's
this just
sleepy
be
though.
the. Yeah, she is sleepy. She doesn't do a very good job guarding the mansion. I think I'd rather this just be the Ritsuko from Idolmaster, who was 4K, mill 2. If you hit a climax, put her into stock.
Yeah, those
That's
are
like
cool.
that's actually like beneficial sometimes. You can try to shoot it into stock. And
Actually, you know what? That's a great point. This has an unnecessary middleman, doesn't it?
yeah, and then the 4K is better than being a 35.
All right, I'll
Like the
downgrade you to
Ritsuko is just better in every way.
Good argument, Paru.
All right, here's another one of my favorite characters. I hope they're good.
This I get to read this one.
Yeah.
Sturdy Monk, Byakuren Hijiri. I like that name. It's level 1. During your turn, if you have 2 or more fantasy characters, this card gets 2,000 power and the following effect. When this card attacks, if the character facing this is level 2, this gets 6,000 power. So it's an anti-level 2 that is 5k during your turn and 5/5 during your turn and then 11/5 when facing a level 2. And it also has Qualk Encore.
I think it's good. I like it.
11/5. That I think the normal test for these cards is whether it actually gets big enough to fight level 2s.
Kills
And I
Alice
think
without a
11.
backup.
Oh, I think that's a really relevant stat line.
Yes.
Really? How big is
Yes.
Alice?
11k if everything goes right.
I see. That's the new 10th anniversary Sword Art Online Alice.
Yes. Yeah.
I see. Well, that sounds like this fights the meta very well. Well timed.
Kills Alice and then if it doesn't get, shot somewhere, clock
Sure.
yourself, do it again.
Yeah, what do you think about the Clock Encore? Is it worth giving up 500 power for this?
Clock Encore is like weird to me. Because I don't think we see it very often.
Yeah, I agree. It's been phased out. I remember Nisekoi back in 2015, 14 really leaned on that 6k Clock Encore as part of its level 1 game. Some builds of it did, and that was a really good deck. But yeah, Clock Encore isn't really a thing right now.
I don't know. I actually don't know.
Cool.
Oops. I think that I would, my love for the character, I think I would try to jam this into any deck. Especially because the green deck, the bar deck, right? Like the 8-bar stuff we've seen so far is probably the most like appealing. It's on color, and you're not that big in your other lanes. Like your blind stalker and your JC, they're not contesting level 2s. So this is like a good enough like 1 of 2 of extra level 1 that you can play. Right? Does that sound okay?
Yeah, I think this could compete with slots with the other auxiliary secondary level 1s for sure. It might earn a spot. Does this card represent your character Byakuren well enough?
So she's the leader of the Buddhists. Her power is that she can enhance her body with magic, as like vague as that is. I would say being able to gain a shit ton of power counts as enhancing your body through magic. Clock Encore, cool.
This is card 39. My note here is that this should be 500 bigger.
Really?
But why is that? I have a whole
Let's see.
paragraph
Hang
here
on. I
explaining
have.
why.
Why is that? Tell me.
Okay. What have I written? I wrote down, normally during your turn, 2k is worth minus 1k. And normally, during your turn, anti-level 2 gain 6,000 is worth also minus 1k. So
Mhm.
each of those effects would normally be worth minus 1k. But when you tack on this 2 or more other field condition,
Yeah.
you get to have the budget cost. So
Ooh.
rather than be minus 1k for each, it's minus 500 for each. So cool. So far we've used up 1,000 power in budget. Then we get a Clock Encore, which is worth 500 power on a level 1. So we should be using up 1,500 power budget.
Okay. That makes sense. I'm looking at the Alice level 1 from Sword Art 10th Anniversary. She's on play if you have another character. Okay, sorry. So she's a 1/0/4000. So what you're suggesting. She's on play if you have another character, gain 2000 for the turn, and then conditionless when this card attacks into a level 2, gain 6000 power.
Mm.
So yeah, so the Byakuran having a more steep requirement of having 2 characters gives her the leeway to have the Clock Encore and be at the same power. That sounds right to me. If you want to tell me this card should be 500 power bigger, I would agree with you. And you know what? I like the character, so I would be happy to see that happen.
That's so. It's nice when the character you like and the card you like gets to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
Next is
We got Frog
somebody.
Appreciation, Suwako Moria.
Oh,
So
is this the same character that was on the bar?
this is the same character as what was on the bar and the character that was on the
Great.
JC level 1.
I see.
So there's 2 gods that other character serves. I'm noticing that they are favoring one more than the other because this character's on like 3 cards, the other one's on 1. So this is our climax filter. When your character triggers a climax, you may discard a climax, look it up to 2 from the top of your deck, choose one from among them, and send the other to put it into hand, send the other one to waiting room. And then it is a tap, give a character 1000 power for the turn. Seems good with the bar stuff.
Seems like a crucial component of that deck. My note here is that this is also under budget.
Okay.
And that this can actually pump 1,500 with
Ooh.
this stat line.
Okay.
So it can be better. Reason being that the first climax fixing effect is worth 1,500 power on the Hololive Coco.
Okay.
And the second effect of the... So we've used a 1,500 budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the second effect is when you rest this card to pump a traded character, it costs 1,000 power to pump 1,500. And the most famous card that does that is the Symphogear Hibiki that got put on the choice list.
Ah, okay.
That one also has rest pump a music character 1,500, and that Hibiki has a second effect of trait bound field encore, and that's worth 500.
Okay.
So this could be better, which is nice. 1k actually is kind of anemic, so it's nice if this could pump 15.
Yeah.
As is though, 1k is a little anemic, but I think this is still so important a card that you still play it even though it doesn't pump as much power.
I agree. It's like niche.
Also,
I think it only goes into like 8 bar, but
Sure.
it seems like a pretty good role player in the 8 bar deck.
Yeah.
Especially when you're probably seeing so many bars in your hand during your level 1 combo turn. Again, this is like an assist character specifically for Sanai. Like in the fighting games, this character is like a meter attack in for Sanai as like a defense option.
Yeah, and
So
you'll feel good if you were playing this deck, I'd assume you'd feel good that you'd play that level 1 character. I don't know what the names.
Level 1 combo
The level
Sunai.
1. You play the Sun Eye. You'd have the Sun Eye on field and this character on field helping each other interacting. So that feels good boards. Feels good deck.
Exactly. I get you.
Uh,
This is you.
Next is the Master of Doors, Okinamatara. So automatic flavor fail minus.
Wait, what was the flavor fail minus? What
There's
happened?
only one door climax in this deck.
Oh my
so I'm
god.
already gonna say it's not great. Okina has on play and on death discard a climax to salvage a fantasy character. Best in a deck with 8 bars, so not appropriate character flavor. Hololive Mio has this effect, and I think people like it. It's good, right? On play and on death?
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, people played it in the 8-bar Okayu Sora deck, where it is usually like a 1 to 2 of. I mean, you play it down.
Timing.
You play it down the stage, and you usually end up playing over it in the same turn to get like a double hand fix.
Pretty cool.
Card effect is good.
Sure.
Flavor.
I like it.
Flavor is an actual kind of. It's like, man, this card's like really whatever. This character can create back doors. Okay, this is their ability straight from the wiki. Creating doors on the back of anything. Now, how that actually ends up being used is that she makes back doors on things and then like pumps life energy into them. Makes things like super swole. Like she turns like a butterfly and turns it into like a fairy with the next card on the list. So like, she should be buffing stuff. She should be making stuff swole. This is just grabbing a character out of the living room. Kind of a flavor fail. Balance looks good to me.
We arrived at the same conclusion, so I'm fine with that.
Nice. We got Insect Fairy, Eternity Larva. During your turn, gets I don't think there's a single person who like actually cares about this character. During your turn, she gets 1,000 power. When she's placed on stage, reveal top. If it's a character, give one of your characters 2,000 power.
Whew. The second effect is cool when you tack it onto another good card, like another good effect.
Like a Ricky or a Drop Search.
Yeah.
This is neither of those. This is a vanilla.
Yeah. Doesn't seem that good to me. You'd have to be desperate for Power Pump to put this in, I'd imagine.
Yeah. I don't think I would ever put this card in my deck.
Yep. I wouldn't either, but you could play it and you'd be a little bit embarrassed, but at least it would do something.
Flavor's pretty whatever. Balance.
I think is identical. Yeah, it is, I believe, identical to a Konosuba, Megumin, and Komeko with a very cute art of them on the bed.
Oh, okay.
Same effect.
That card was never played. I wonder why.
No. It was cute though. Next, this is a Kappa. I'm getting I got the Tanuki and I get a Kappa. This is all right for me. Nitori Kawashiro. If there's a marker underneath this card, it gets 2k, and on play, reveal the top. If it's the traded, it's a fantasy, you marker it. So it's a 4k. Sometimes these are played.
Yeah, I mean, most recently, Quince has been playing this card in Japanese.
Oh.
Like the Door Quince deck, it plays this as their plussing 0 of choice.
Sure.
I mean, it's a 4K guy. It probably lives, and it has application later in the game. You can dig for like 5-card brainstorms. You can check for clean triggers. I think
very helpful.
These cards,
when your plussing zeros do something later.
This is probably the best plussing 0 we've seen so far.
Really? I'm probably underrating it then. Feel free to go up to B.
Yeah. So do you disagree with that? I think that the drop search is really good, but it's like inconsistent.
You're right. I think the 35 mil twos come close, but yeah, maybe this is a bit better.
I think like if I'm
Uh,
going first, if I'm taking like the first turn of the game, this is like the card out so far that we've seen. This is the card I want to play down
you're,
every game.
you're right. Flavor. I don't see optical camo suit breaking anything. I don't know what's going
Well,
on
she's
there.
got a marker, right? Markers are clothing, according to Kill la Kill.
You know, that is true. Um, damn.
There you
Okay.
go. You can't
Whatever.
deny it. You can't argue with that. You've played Kill la Kill.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Balance, it's fine. You know what's funny? The Quince one is only 1,000 power and gains 3,000 for having the marker. Is that Quince
Does that
tax?
work? Hmm.
But like this also exists. Like this 2,000 gain 2,000.
Yeah, something else must be going on there, man.
Yeah, that's a weird one, right?
There must be something else going on. Wait, does that mean this is not balanced properly?
No, because like this exists. Like gain a
Yeah, you're right.
marker
It
to
does
be a
exist.
4.
This
Like
card definitely exists. So something
2,000 to
else
gain
must be going on
2,000
with that.
gains a marker. So something's weird with the Quince one. Maybe I'm
All right, all right.
misremembering it.
Okay.
Next card, Shiki, one of my favorite characters, one of the best theme songs in the game. Very not an important character, but one of the strongest characters in the series. So she's gonna have a really powerful effect. She's a 2,000 power backup. Oh man, come on, dude.
You know, that's what the thing is. This has hidden text on it, which
Uh-huh.
is leaf a counter twice. That's
True.
actually what's actually written on
Strength.
this card.
So strength is a little higher than usual. Flavor is in the gutter.
Yeah, all right. So I'll
This
go
is the
minus with
this
C.
is the judge of the afterlife. You know, she sends you to hell. And he's like, well, maybe, maybe the playing the backup and getting the the double leaf encounter. Maybe that is sending your opponent to hell.
I'm on the I am the philosophy of some people I respect that say backups as a card are bad, and only so I'm giving C minus seems appropriate for me.
Well, someone very dear to me said recently that backups are pluses if they allow a character in the back row that would not have been able to attack profitably otherwise to be able to direct attack.
This is actually cancel and plus all on one card. I'll go to C plus.
Right, because
Okay.
you move up the Aki rows after that battle phase and you get rid of it.
Yep. Yep.
Very funny. All right.
Next, Yokai Mountain Priestess. This is a human.
Yeah.
Sanai. Oh, this is the one in the level 1 combo?
Yeah.
Great. Sanai Kochia. This card gets 500 for each of your other fantasy characters, and on play heal.
Wow, man.
Yep.
It's a vanilla.
Kimono Friends plays this card, sadly, because it's one of their best standby targets, 11-5.
Oh god.
I think most lists have moved away from that. This was a trial deck card that they played, but for a while, people played that.
I'm not familiar with the 2023 Kimono Friends meta, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's.
I don't spin in those circles.
I understand why it's hard to keep up with that deck.
It moves
because,
so fast, dude.
it moves so
They're just like the amount of like strategies available to you in Kimono Friends is just such an insane. An F plus. Oh come on, it heals at least. Healing is relevant text.
I was trying to do a concession to you that you would never put this in the deck. All right.
I would never put this in. Well, I don't know if there's a better level 3 to stand by into. I know there's standby in the set. I don't know if you have anything better to get off of it.
We might revisit this, and maybe this gets played.
We might have to begrudgingly accept that you just have this.
I see. Yeah.
Balance. This is fine.
Yep.
And we got one more card. We got an event. 3/4. Sea opening. Moses' miracle.
Wow.
Choose up to 2 of your opponent's characters, and those characters get -2 soul until the end of turn. Put this card into memory. I think this is unplayable.
Really?
Yeah. -2 soul at level 3, I think, is like akin to like shooting yourself in the foot. I think I would rather shoot myself in the foot than play this card.
So Fujimi Bunko played this, but it is controversial whether that was actually a good deck.
Yeah,
Previous,
I never was a fan of Fujimi.
Your previous co-host, Oliver, let me borrow his Fujimi Bunko deck at one local, and he was very nice, because he tolerated very patiently me shit talking the deck the whole time I was playing it.
It's okay. I
was playing it wrong. Okay.
Oh,
Thank you,
okay.
Ollie, for being so nice to me.
So how are you playing it wrong?
I just did not know how to play. This was like one of the first times Standby had just come out, right?
Oh,
Fujimi
okay.
Bunko was one of the first like actually popular standby decks that was actually like maybe arguably competent and meta relevant.
Right.
So I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was making fun of the deck while I was playing it, and Oliver was very patient with me and didn't hold a grudge. So thank you, Ollie.
Shout outs to Oliver.
But yeah, I mean that deck played it, so.
But well, you think I don't have any stock after paying for my.
It's not great.
I don't have stock after paying for my Utsuhos. Maybe this is a card. Maybe this is a card is fine. I haven't seen anything so far that would make me want to play it in a deck.
Who is this person?
This is Sunai.
Because I don't remember seeing somebody named Moses. Ah, okay.
All of her like attacks they have like religious references in them. She can perform miracles. That's her ability.
Great.
And parting the Red Sea was a miracle.
This seems like the kind of magic you might put on a big splash sheet level 3 event.
Yeah,
so I'm okay with that.
That works for me. The Fujimi one didn't have any like restrictions on it or anything, right? It was just this text.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It is the identical text. So this was 8 bar, probably.
Yeah. Are you going to reference the third climax? The mystery climax?
That was my question. What is this?
Yeah, so usually, we'd skip the climaxes at the end. But there is... This two-soul is just here. You have the bar for Utsuho, you have the bar for Sanae. This random two-soul climax is just hanging out in the green cards. I don't know if maybe there was a card that was meant to have this as a combo, or if he was just like, dang, I need a 100th card, and green only has 2 climaxes. But it has cool art, so can this be on something, please?
Yeah, and also the character is perfectly positioned to handle an insert, so plus for me.
True. This is a good cube climax.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the character is only in red. So that that's even more of a head scratcher.
Flavor question mark. Yeah, I agree. All right, well, that was green.
That's green. Thank you, guys.